Greetings. We're back. And Derek, my question for you this episode is, what video game do you think has the best soundtrack? Now, that could be a scored soundtrack, like an original one if you like, or a licensed soundtrack.
That's a good question.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones.
Yeah, I mean, man, I'm going to struggle to come up with some, but yeah, okay.
You'll come up with something, and then after we record, you'll be like, oh, I should have said this. I've done that multiple times.
Probably.
Yeah. All right, we'll answer that at the end of the episode. We'll see you on the other side here.
We'll see you there. Your local video store card.
A comic book in your back pocket.
Games with no tutorials.
Music you had to discover.
And drinking water straight from the hose.
These are the things us millennials remember fondly. We are the Jennings brothers.
Join us after the streetlights come on
as we race our bikes from the top of the hill
right down memory lane.
Exchange those quarters, because this podcast takes tokens.
Okay, here we are, and we are going to be covering. I didn't really have a good way to introduce this, because how do you do it? Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Tony Hawk's. I'm sorry, there is the apostrophe S in this.
He owns it.
Yes. Pro Skater from released on September 29th, 1999. Wow, this game was an absolute banger when it came out, right?
Yes. This one is one of those games I have a lot of fond memories playing. Played it a ton. It was a great couch co-op game for sure. As we'll get into, the soundtrack was just amazing. But yeah, this one I had a lot of fun. I remember playing this one on both the N64 and the PlayStation. PlayStation 1. A friend of mine had on N64. I had on PlayStation 1. It seemed like no matter whose house we were at, we could play Tony Hawk. It worked out great. I seem to remember liking the PlayStation version better than the N64 version, but I think that's the controls. That N64 controller was a little...
It's a little odd. However, I will say I like... So with the N64 version, which is... the one that I played.
Oh, yeah.
So for those that couldn't see it, they're listening to the audio podcast. I was holding up the blue Nintendo 64 Tony Hawk's Pro Skater cartridge, which actually when I knew this episode was coming up, I got on eBay and bought it for like $9. So it's like, if I'm going to play this, I'm going to play it on my N64. But I did like with the N64 using the analog stick to move. It was a lot smoother than using the D-pad on the PlayStation.
Well, I mean, on the PlayStation you had that DualShock controller, and it had that little button between the two analog sticks, and you could toggle it so that your D-pad would work with the analog sticks.
Oh, would it? Okay. I didn't know if that one was one that was DualShock enabled or not.
I seem to remember using it.
Okay.
I don't.
It probably was.
I mean,
it very well could have been. But I mean,
I played it this time on the Xbox because I have the remastered 1 and 2 on Xbox, and then you mentioned playing it whenever we were talking throughout the week, old school on like an older console, and I thought, oh yeah, maybe I should go back and play it on an old console and kind of compare it. So I didn't want to set up my PlayStation, so I ran emulation and played it PlayStation on my computer which was really weird because I played it with an Xbox controller.
Oh yeah,
at my desk.
Yeah.
And the buttons don't I don't know if they do DualShock enabled with that particular setup, so I couldn't test that to confirm it. But and then you've got, so here's a gripe I got. Xbox and PlayStation, the buttons, the X button, there's that meme, and it's like press the X button and it shows the different ones, and they're all in a different
even
location.
on like the Nintendo controllers, there's an X button.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, so I played it on. I played both the remastered re-release recently, and the PlayStation 1 emulated, but I have it, and I just didn't feel like setting it up. Same with I have it on N64 as well. I have both 1 and 2. 2 is yellow, by the way.
Oh, that's right.
And again, I just didn't feel like getting it out and setting it up and everything. And I was like, I already have it here. I'll go ahead and play it on here. It's just so much easier to play it on here while I got other things going on.
Yeah.
But anyway, so you played it on the N64, huh?
Yeah, I did, and I played it. I played it just to kind of flex my gaming library of things that I have. I played it on my Nintendo Switch. You know how they re-released the controllers for the different systems?
Yes.
Yeah. So I've got the Nintendo 64 controller that's supposed to connect with the Switch, but then I've got a Bluetooth connector that goes into like a wireless receiver that goes into the N64 port, so I could play it like wirelessly, and it's great. But anyway,
no lag issues.
No lag issues at all.
Nice.
Yeah. And then you can set it up to be able to like have the rumble feature, or with like this Bluetooth connector. It also acts as a memory card storage, so you don't actually have to have the memory card plugged in. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so you can do both rumble and memory card at the same time. It's pretty cool.
So this game required a memory card on the N64. You couldn't store it because the N64 games are ROM based, right?
No, not all of them. This one didn't require a memory card. This one's got internal. This one's got internal storage on it.
Okay.
But yeah, I played it with that, and I really liked it. The only thing I didn't like, I really liked it, but I didn't like this. So I guess that I liked the analog stick, and I guess partially because the re-released Nintendo 64 controller for that Switch, they fixed an analog stick so it doesn't just the Nintendo 64 analog sticks were so notorious for just, dying.
Yeah.
So it was nice and smooth. But you had to use the C buttons to you hold the down button to crouch, and then you press the left or the right or the up button like when you're hitting half pipes and stuff to do your tricks. So that took some getting used to. Because I wanted to use like the A and the B buttons and maybe the Z, or whatever. So that was a little bit weird until you got the hang of it. And then my one like real gripe with it, and I don't remember if it was this way on PlayStation, but if you want to go up like you're going on a half pipe or something, and you want to do like a handstand, once you hit the top of it, you've got to hold the up C button. But a lot of times it would just cause me to jump out of the half pipe and over it, and then I wouldn't, and I'm like, oh gosh, I just want to do like a handstand, but I don't know.
I think you got to time that just right.
Yeah,
I don't remember what I pressed on the PlayStation version to do that, because I only did it like once or twice, and I kind of stumbled across it, and I was like, oh yeah, you can do that, and then I never went back and did it again because I don't know, I didn't really find it it didn't give me much. That there wasn't any real. I suppose we'll get into that. But I have one more question about your eBay purchase.
Yes.
Was there a saved game on there?
There was
already?
not. They had,
how far were they?
Cleared it. They had cleared it. Which honestly, when in the past, I don't do it anymore. I don't sell my games anymore because we've discussed this. Yeah. It's like now I've gotten older. I'm like,
they're gold.
Yeah, I wish I would have kept those. But when I've sold them in the past, I've cleared my save data before I sell it. Just because, to me, I like getting, if I buy a game like this, I like getting the game, and then if the save data is all cleared, it's almost like I'm buying it brand new from the store, And, you can't replicate that, but it's just when you're getting something used off of eBay. But it gives me that little bit of a feeling like, yeah, I just went to Toys R Us and pick this up, or whatever. So,
I like getting the save data on them. I like seeing how far people got, where they decided to, I give up. I'm not playing this game anymore, or whatever the case may be. I like seeing that. And then I'll delete it and I'll start my own or whatever. But yeah, that's I like that.
Seeing the names that they've put in there for you're playing Zelda and it's like some pretty offensive name. You're like, what is this? It's like
Senior Butthead or something. Yeah.
So, they released this, so Nintendo 64, it originally released on PlayStation, and then a few months later it came on in 64. So they also released it on the Dreamcast.
Okay.
It came out on Game Boy Color, which I knew that. I've never played that version. I would like to try that out.
I can't imagine playing it on the Game Boy Color.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it isn't going to be in 3D, so how does that work? And then the...
Isometric, maybe?
Maybe. That could work, yeah. Because, I don't think that the N60... Or no, the Game Boy Color didn't... Which one? Maybe it was the DS. The original DS was the first one that had the FX sort of chip in it for a portable. I can't remember. I mean, I remember they had Nintendo 64 games like Mario on the DS. But, But yeah, you wouldn't have on the Game Boy Color. You definitely wouldn't have had it in 3D. And then here's a relic for you. This also released. Do you remember this on the N-Gage?
N-Gage,
yeah.
Wow.
Do you remember that?
N-Gage, that's right. That's the Nokia.
It was like a cell phone, but it had you could put game cartridges into
little game cartridges that are like the Switch game cartridges
pretty much.
Now. They were about that. Well, I think they were closer to the PlayStation Vita size, but yeah. I remember that. I remember wanting one of those so bad, and they just they came and they went. It was 6 months. It was really popular, and then it was gone.
Very much ahead of its time.
And then after that, I was like, I'm so glad I didn't get that.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I'd kind of be curious now. I'd probably pay a small fortune for one, but to find one on eBay and just get it, and if it works, that's probably the other thing. How long does
they're
the
still
battery
out there?
last?
They're definitely collector's items.
Yeah.
And there was the Sony released the PlayStation, the PSP phone. There was a
really?
I
don't remember that
had a PSP built into it.
Wow.
Sony Ericsson released one.
Huh.
But yeah,
I didn't realize they did that.
So there's a couple of phone games, and I always thought whenever I had the PlayStation, whenever I first got the PSP, I thought Nintendo needs to do this with the Game Boy and make a phone, make a Game Boy phone. That's what they need to do. And it was right around the time Android was launching and everything too. But of course they didn't. But about 10 years later, we got the Switch, which is close enough. I feel like
it's a mobile, it's a phone, pretty much.
That's all it's missing. I feel like if they had a slot for a SD or not SD, a SIM card, I would use it. Maybe throw it in there, and then you got true mobile gaming.
Yeah.
But anyways, I digress. I took us down a bit of a tangent there. So whenever you're playing the Tony Hawk Pro Skater, so here's a little difference for you between the Tony Hawk Pro Skater original and the re-release they did on the they did it on PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch because I have the Switch and the Xbox version.
And Steam, I'm sure. And everything.
So anyways, one of the differences I noticed is the challenges.
Oh.
Yeah, on the original ones, for Tony Hawk 1, you had about 5 challenges per level, and then you'd have a level specific task. Then you'd have a minimum point score, a maximum point score, the spelling bee thing where you spell out skate, a hidden tape would be somewhere, and then I think that was 5
that
of them?
That was it. Yep.
Something
I love that they were tapes.
And then there were and then there were the skating competitions where you compete for medals and you place, and they take your 2 of 3 highest scores and you try and get a gold medal. Well, in the one for the new one, the re-release, the 1 and 2 re-release, first of all, the graphics are a billion times better. Like it's a dream.
Yeah.
It's great to play it on the new systems with the newer graphics. But there's also like probably like 10 challenges per level.
Oh, wow.
At least.
Okay.
So they add a bunch more. Like you've got like your spell skate, and then you've got to find the hidden tape. I think there's actually a couple of hidden tapes that you have to find. And then there's like a couple other like hide and seek things, and then they'll still do the level specific challenges and things like that. Like for example, I think it's the third or fourth level. You have to go around and find popcorn buckets, which I don't think was in the original one. As well as like spell skate and find the hidden things and all that. I can't remember, because it's been about a week or so since I played it on there. I can't remember if there was actually hidden tapes or not, or if they changed it to like something else. I think it was still tapes. I think they left it as tapes. But anyways, so yeah, there's that difference. And then the music. There's a huge difference in the music. I think they combined all the soundtracks or something. But I went and I looked it up earlier today, and the Tony Hawk Pro Skater Remastered includes 37 new-ish tracks. Okay. Like, they're new to the game. So they included 37 additional tracks to what was already there. If you remember, the original soundtrack only had like 9 songs on it. So they added 37 new ones. I'm not going to go down the whole 37 list, but a big one, Can I Kick It? Tribe Called Quest.
Oh, really? Wow.
It's a great addition. Yeah. But yeah, so then they've got like, Less Than Jake, Machine Gun Kelly, MXPX, Pew Pew, Real Big Fish, a bunch of other bands from around that time. Yeah. Zebrahead, stuff like that. And, but this original soundtrack was, God, this was
Killer.
a great game soundtrack.
Yep.
I mean, you've got Dead Kennedys, the Ernies, Goldfinger, Primus, Suicidal Tendencies, the Suicide Machines, Unsane, Speed Dealer, and the Vandals. And great.
Oh, it's fantastic. And that theme song, like it's like the unofficial theme song, or maybe it is the official theme song now. But that Superman song is just like I've been singing it all week long, like leading up to this recording.
It's infectious.
It is. And I'll see it on memes and stuff now. There was one, and it was like somebody was like, it was like some wind had hit a porta potty and it was flying up in the air, and it's like, imagine like taking a dump and then you're getting thrown up in it. But it had Superman, that's Goldfinger, nice. And that made it like super funny. But anyway, it's just funny like that. It's just so, that song is so ingrained in like all of our consciousness now, because we've like everybody's heard it. Like everybody that had everybody I knew that had a PlayStation had Tony Hawk Pro Skater, at least the first one. A lot of people had the first and second one, but everybody I feel like had this game. And
I didn't know too many people that had 3 or 4.
They released so many sequels. The only other one outside of 1 and 2 that I owned, and I intentionally sought it out because it looked fun, was in 2000.
The one for the Wii with the little skateboard?
No, that was too. That was, the Wii was gimmicky, but that that was like, that gave the Wii a run for its money on as far as gimmick.
Next level.
Yeah, it was. And I think in 2003, Tony Hawk's Underground came out, and I ended up picking that up for my GameCube, and I played the heck out of that game. And it had like a story mode and everything on it, and it was cheesy, but you're like this, you create your character, and you are this up-and-coming, like, skater, and I think you were in Hawaii, and you've got a buddy that's recording you, and you're, like, doing all these tricks. And I remember, like, the big, like, jump in the game was there's, like, 2 skyscrapers, and you half-pipe jump from one to the other. Man. And your buddy's down on the ground recording it. but that was fun. Just like as cheesy as it was to have like a story mode on this was like, oh, this is pretty cool, you know. And I remember, I played that game a lot, and of course, it looked visually so much better than like the PlayStation versions had looked because it was, it was on the next generation. It was on GameCube,
which is about PlayStation graphics.
Well, it was a little sharper.
Yeah.
But,
so I'm curious on the N64 version of it, because you played N64, I played PlayStation. On the PlayStation version of it, all these songs in the background, they have giant screens with the music videos going as the song's going as you're skating around. Was that
absolutely
not in the N64 one?
N64 can't handle that.
Couldn't handle that.
I love my N64 so much, but it was a far inferior console to the PlayStation.
It's the classic Nintendo. I mean, they're not making the greatest console; they're making the greatest stories.
Yep. They're on. Like we've said it before. They they run on just fun, and like graphics and all that stuff are secondary.
Good gameplay and good stories.
Yep.
Yeah,
no.
Although recently, that's kind of everybody's been giving them a bit of a run for the money there.
Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, it was the 64 version was fun. I've played a little bit of the remake, but that was my buddy got it for me for my birthday, like right after I got my Series S, and I played it on there, and then like I've told you, I ended up getting a PS5, and my Series S he got me a digital version of it, and it's it's in Landon's room, and I just haven't really played it since.
Collecting dust.
Yeah. But he plays it. It's a Fortnite box, is what it is now. But,
okay, Fortnite Xbox.
But it's fine. He has fun with his friends, and that's all all right.
Does it keep it up to date? Because that's one of my big gripes. My big gripes. As you know, I wrote you.
Yeah.
I sat down to play the game, and I started up my Xbox, and it said it needed updates.
Yes.
And then it needed to update, like, it needed to install. I had the disc. I had the physical disc. I put the physical disc into the game. It needed to install the stupid game on the machine before I could play it. I'm like, why? Why doesn't it? There's a disc. Why don't you play off the disc? Nope. I had to sit there, and it had to download like 40 some odd gigs and all this other stuff. And it was going to take like an hour or something like that. So I switched it over to the PlayStation. You know what? I fired that bad boy up, kicked right into a game that I had paused for about 2 weeks, picked right back up. No problem.
I will say, though, like, even if you install a disc-based game on the PlayStation, it still has you, like, if you go to play it, it still has you install the game. That's just these new consoles.
I ran into that problem with Gran Torino.
Yeah.
I bought that 7. I bought the disc because I was like, I'm going to play it off the disc. I go and I sit down, I put it in the disc, and they're like, we need to download 200 and some odd gigs. I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's not as, like, taxing on the hardware if it's running off the hard drive. But, what doesn't do that, that's the Switch. You just pop the game and it fires right up.
And if it needs an update, you can say, you know what, do it later. I'm going to play the game anyways.
Right. That's right.
I appreciate that very much. So, which I have it on the Switch, and I was like, maybe I'll just go get the Switch and play it on there. And I was like, nah, I'm in the middle of playing this other game, so I'm going to sit down and just use this as an excuse to play some more The Last of Us.
So you've got Tony Hawk on Switch?
I do. I have it on the Switch as well.
Wow.
Yeah, because I bought it for the Xbox when it first came out, whenever they did the re-release. And I started playing it on there. And then I think Thanksgiving, Black Friday rolled around for it, and I picked it up for $10 on the Switch, and I was like, I'll get that.
Just play it,
no problem. And then I can play it whenever,
or whatever. Yeah,
yeah. And it was kind of a time whenever I was really getting back into the Switch because like we were spending a lot of time hanging out together as a family, like in the living room and stuff like that. And I was like, I can sit here and play a Switch, and we can watch a movie, and I get best of both. So I was playing a lot more Switch games at the time, but.
So
and then Bruce wanted to play it for a little bit.
He enjoyed playing it. He said
he played it a little bit, but then he was like, "Meh." He moved on. He was kind of into Fortnite at the time. Yeah,
that's like the back to the challenges. Like, one thing that I really liked about them is they, like, most of the maps had hidden areas in them that you could access.
Yeah.
Like, that was, and I had forgotten about them when I was, because it'd been a while since I played the game. Obviously, I didn't, I had to buy it off of eBay. But, yeah, like the school level, like I remember I was playing it and I got up on top of one of the buildings and I'm like, oh yeah, there is a hole in this roof. And I drop down and you're in the gymnasium. And then you have to like hit that lever or something and the door opens up and then you can access it from there on out. But, and I think the mall had another area, like you had to go upstairs or something like that. But yeah, and then they had all those hidden tapes that kind of, it just gave it a lot of replay value. The challenges that I had issues with were the points ones though. Like,
trying to get that high score one.
Because if you start doing the same moves over and over again, they start giving you fewer and fewer points.
Yeah, lesser and lesser points.
Like they encourage
That's why
variety.
you gotta build up your special and start using your specials is what it is. That's how you get them. And you got to hit the half pipes. I found I always had more success with getting into finding a half. If I'm just going for the high score thing, going straight to a half pipe and then just going back and forth and then doing different combinations of tricks. And then once those start going down, then start hitting grinds and stuff like that and building those up. Did you ever do the trick where the time's about to run out and you start grinding something really long? And then you just like keep jumping off and grinding and
it won't stop.
Then you'll like end up doing like the nose grind. And it doesn't stop the clock until you're done. I would sit there and just grind away. It was great. I always loved doing that. Get a couple extra 1,000 points pretty easy.
Now, how I got, I'm not ashamed to admit, this time playing it, how I got a high score is the old 64 version has cheat codes you can put in. So I did a 10 times multiplier cheat code. So like the first competition I'm doing, like I'm getting like 80,000 points. And I'm getting like 99.9 on my rating on everything. So I'm like, somehow I got a gold. But I don't know. I found with those competition
ones, they really just want you to not eat it. So as long as you don't make a mistake and fall, and you don't go more than a couple seconds without doing a trick, you can generally get a gold, I find. And if you're not repeating yourself too much, like you can't just sit there and do the same thing over and over again. Like you can't just sit there and grind things. But I find that, and you got to get some combos in. But that's how I usually get through them. It's just you got to keep doing stuff. And that's where, again, we're all kind of going hit the half pipe for most of it. And, get those golds. And I never used the cheat code. So I thought, do they have like a DK mode? Like a lot of them had like DK mode and stuff where you get like the big heads or whatever. What's some of the cheats?
No, like, so there's that. There's a cheat code to unlock all the tapes, which I'm like, I want to go and do that. There is one, I think there's one that like makes your points really small, like very minimal. There's one that automatically, so if you get all the tapes you unlock, I think it's Barney the cop or something like that, and he's got like outrageous stats, and you can unlock him right away with the cheat codes. And I think there's some to unlock like all the boards and stuff, because that was something I enjoyed, was you could go in there and you'd get, like, for getting so many tapes,
not only do you unlock the parks, but
you get stuff to customize your board. I mean, you couldn't really see it very often in game. You knew it was there, but I don't remember.
Some of them gave you a little boost.
I don't remember if there was like a DK mode or anything like that. I just can't. I went to like IGN and looked up cheats for it or something, and I was just like scrolling through there kind of fast to get some. I'm like, I know there's one for points, like point multipliers on here, but.
Yeah, I didn't play much this time around. I didn't play much past that gold, that first medal competition. I played the medal competition, then I played the level right after that that required a medal. I think 1 or 2 times, and then here we are today.
Yeah.
But I I might sit down and play them again. It was a lot of fun to go back and play them for sure.
I had a lot of fun with it.
Like I said, I really enjoyed it.
I mean, you could easily, like, especially if you put the cheat code in for the multiplayer, like you could easily complete this game in 2 or 3 hours. You know,
I think you could easily complete this game in a good day or two.
Yeah,
even without the cheat codes.
Yeah.
Like and it does a really good job of, like, the first level is fairly small and everything's pretty easy to get. Like, and it's all like, it's easy to find. Like, it's easy to find all the letters to spell the word. It's easy to find the tape. It's easy to hit the scores and everything. The high score, maybe not as easy, but it's still easy
I think
enough.
it's like 25,000 or something. Like, it's a small.
Yeah. Like, it's not. And if you get those, there's like all those little emblems that are floating around that are like bonus points or whatever.
Yeah.
If you hit that while you're hitting a combo, then that I find that helps a lot. And but yeah, that first level, like, I did it the first time to kind of get my bearings. And then the second time I ran through it and I cleared everything but the high score, because it was just, like I said, it was all just like right there. It was easy to get to. And each level does get a little more difficult, maybe a little bigger, like the things are more spread out, maybe they're harder to get to. The hardest one I had was I think it was the city level where they've got like the half pipe with around. The water fountain in the middle. Yeah, the taxis were crazy. Just constantly slamming into you. Beep, beep. The hardest thing was, and then you just lay it out. And then it just like, it throws you like across the way too. And then like, sometimes it'll hit you and it'll throw you down the street. And then as you're getting back up, it'll hit you again and throw you again. Yes. But yeah, that one was probably, I think getting the tape on that one was probably one of the hardest that in this revisit that I faced, because like you got to go up to the top of that building, and then you got to have enough speed to jump across to the next building and get on that roof. And if you don't have the speed and the jump, you fall short. And it's just it's hard to get. But then they added another even more difficult part to it. And I may be conflating this. Maybe the tape wasn't that hard to get in that. Maybe it was this other thing. So on the remastered one, there is this popcorn bucket challenge on that level where they've got like a popcorn bucket inside the movie theater on like the grind rail. And then they've got like a popcorn bucket, in the middle of the fountain area. Another one that's kind of like in a picnic area. But anyways, I think it was the popcorn bucket. There's one that you have to like jump across with oh no, it was both. I'm sorry. You get in that on that rooftop, and there's like the big like circular half pipe, and you can go one way and get the tape, or you can go the other way and jump across to the other building and get the one of the popcorn buckets. And both of those jumps are like these big giant gap jumps, and the popcorn bucket one is especially challenging because you got to jump all the way across and get that thing. But then there's also another one where you have to kind of go down the road, hit a half pipe to get your speed, come back down, and then as you're coming down you have to wall grind up and then land a grind on an awning and grind it around to get the letter. I mean, it was insane. I had the most hard time with that. But that was one of the last ones I did on the remastered, and I got that, and I was like, okay, I'm done. I want to go back and play the original now, because this is just crazy.
That's funny, because that's the last level I played when, like, before I was like, because I played it a bunch on Saturday, because I had the time to play, and I did it, and and I got to that point. I'd played for probably an hour and a half. I'm like, all right, I'm kind of done for right now. And I have lit like tonight's the first night I have been home all week. So but so do they give you more time in the remaster? Because on the base game, like the original, it's like you got 2 minutes each time.
I think it's the same.
Is it? Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's exactly the same.
Okay. I didn't know with all the extra challenges if they increased that by like, a minute to 3 minutes or something like that. But
No, because you just go back and you do it again. You get the challenges.
Mm-hmm. Who was your skater that you picked? Was there like a specific? I mean, I always pick Tony Hawk. Like, you know.
Yeah. I would always pick Tony Hawk or Bucky. Those are my two go-tos. It was Tony Hawk and Bucky. Yeah. I had the same question. I was going through them and I'm looking at all the characters and I'm like, oh yeah, who all do they got? I start going through them all. Which the remastered one, so many more characters.
Oh sure.
But the original one, I'm going through them all and I'm like, yes, I think so.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't remember. I never. If it does, I didn't do it. I don't think they did create a character until the third one.
Okay.
Right? Am I wrong? I know they didn't do it on this first
I don't remember. I don't remember. I just didn't know with the remastered version if they ended up doing a create a character on there or not.
Yeah. No, I think it's only on the. I think it's not until the third one that they brought out create a character. I sat here and I loaded up all 4 of the original PlayStation ones and went through them. Well, I played the first one and I loaded up all the rest of them and I just kind of looked at the menus real quick. And I don't remember seeing create a character until like the third one, I believe. Maybe it was the fourth one. But yeah, I don't remember seeing it on any of the other ones.
Yeah.
But I don't think I would do create a character. I would want to play as one of the other characters. And I think you have to to 100% the game. I think you have to play as Tony Hawk, get all the things in all the levels, and then play as the next character and get all the things in all the levels again. Like, you got to complete all the levels with each character to truly 100% the game.
Okay, well,
if I remember correctly.
I don't know if I'll be doing that. I felt bad because I was going through there because I would either, like when I was a kid, the only other person I remember playing as is Bob Burnquist. And he's like the second one you can pick. And I think Tony's got the most air. I think Bob has like better handling or something like that. I can't remember. But you'd scroll through there, and then there was that lady that was on there, and I can't remember her name now. It's terrible. Yep. But like they had like everybody's where they're from and then their age. But you get to her, and it's like age,
little stats and everything.
Yeah, her age. It said like it wasn't like classified, but it was like undisclosed is what it said, like undisclosed. I'm like, what? Like what? You don't ask a lady her age, I guess, that the old adage. Like I don't know. But like, she was
they were a little modest in the old school ones.
Like, yeah. Did playing this?
I don't remember it.
Did it ever like encourage you to try to skate?
No, because I think at this point, this came out in '99. I was like a senior in high school. At this point, I'm beyond like doing anything like that.
Yeah, you're beyond that, I guess. Yeah.
I skated a little bit in like middle school, like elementary school, a little bit in middle school. But I mean, around here, there's not really, there were areas that have like places you could skate. Like, as a matter of fact, our house right now, if I look out my window here, I can see a skate park. Like, we have a skate park right around the corner from us. It's just got like a little half pipe and a couple little grinding things and stuff like that. But, yeah, we have one here. Like, I feel like there's more of them now than there were back then. But yeah, it was just skateboarding on like sidewalks and streets was all I really had to skateboard on. And I don't know if you've ever skateboarded on a sidewalk, but it sucks because there's a crack every 2 feet. And if that doesn't stay level, you can't skateboard on it. So yeah, I didn't do, after we moved to the house, I didn't do a whole lot of skateboarding anymore just because like the apartment was great because there was a nice big parking lot and there was, you had a big space. Like, because the apartment complex we lived in had like a road that ran through the middle of it that was gated. So I had like a nice long stretch that I could skateboard on when I wanted to. I remember skateboarding in that apartment complex on my first skateboard, which was like a wooden one. And it got away from me and a car ran over it and split my board in two.
No.
and did not stop. It just kept right on going, and I lost it. That was the end of that skateboard. I got a new one, I think that Christmas or something like that, and it was metal. But that was it.
Yeah.
Yep. And I had that one for a while. I don't know what happened to it.
I tried skating a little bit. Like I ended up picking a board up. I don't know. It was cheap. It was at like probably I think like a True Value store or something like that. But when you're a kid, you're like, oh, it's a skateboard. But I was scared on the thing. Like I would be fine when I'm like on a flat surface, but then if I start going downhill, I'm like, how do I stop this thing? Like I'm getting going too fast. And like I was really big into rollerblading, and that didn't bother me because I knew how to stop. But like with a skateboard, I'm like, oh, I don't want to scratch my board up, so I don't want to like stop with the back of it or whatever. But I remember
not realizing you like do that and replace it on purpose.
Yeah. Like, I remember getting on that thing one day, and I'm like going down. So our neighbor had this driveway that it was like a hill. It went down the hill because like their house was on a hill. So the driveway went beside their house, and it went down the hill, and then the back of the house was where the garage entrance was at into the basement. So it just kind of went down. So I'm like trying to go down that, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to get over this fear. And I'm going down, and halfway down, the axle snaps. And I fall and I roll, and I skin my arm up and stuff, and I like look, I'm like, what happened? And I look, and the axle's just broke because it was cheap. It was just broke in half, and I was like, I'm done skating. Like that was it. But
that's all skateboarding I want to do.
Yes, but when I was in high school, there was a big group of skaters, and they didn't have any place to skate. Like they were skating around town, and like a lot of the businesses were getting irritated at them. So they got an idea, and they're like, let's get a skate park built, because there was like, it wasn't a YMCA, but it was exactly like a YMCA. It was a community center with like a dance hall and like, a track and all this stuff. It was a YMCA, just without the name.
They're part of the community.
Yep. And so there was a spot behind that, like a big area that they had that just wasn't being used. Anyway, they got some people on board if they had the funding for the money that like they passed it with the city council and everything, they would build a skate park back there, so they went around all these businesses that they had been skating at, and they were irritated with them, and they're like, oh yeah, we'll give you money so you're not skating on our property anymore. And they got enough money, and they built this skate park behind the place.
There you go.
And we'd go over there, and we'd watch kids skate. We'd go to like Little Caesars and get one of those like $5 hot and readies, and we'd go and we'd sit. This is what we did when we did for fun, because there wasn't anything to do in a small town. And we'd get one of those, one or two of them, and we'd go sit at the skate park, and we'd give kids a piece of pizza to do a trick for us. And they'd like get on the half pipe, and they'd do something like, whoa, like I saw some pretty cool stuff there. Like, here, you deserve a piece of pepperoni pizza.
Yeah. Not a Casey's pizza? It was a hot and ready?
No, it was a hot and ready, yeah. We didn't have... I was working...
You didn't have Casey's money?
Oh, no. I was working minimum wage at a radio station, maybe 15 hours a week. I didn't have the money for that. So I had $5 for a hot and ready, and that was like an hour's worth of pay.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Those were the days.
Yeah,
my skateboarding career was pretty short.
Yeah.
I always wanted to. I always liked the idea of it and everything like that. But yeah, it's just you got to have I think you got to have the skate park. You got to have some place to go and do it at. You can't. It's not like on TV or a movie where you see like Marty McFly skateboarding down from his house to downtown, Hill Valley or whatever. Like there's no way he was actually skateboarding all that distance. It's just like you could.
Yeah.
Like I mean, maybe people were, but I can't imagine skateboarding over a long distance. Like it's to me, it's just like it's an activity. It's like you need like a skate park or something like that. It's not something. It's not like bicycling.
Transportation.
Yeah. Yeah, because you got to like constantly be like chugging on that thing, and if you are going at any kind of a vertical incline, you can just forget about it.
Oh,
you just pick up a skateboard and walk.
Just walk
like,
over.
You're not doing it.
Yeah.
You're not doing it. Yeah. And if the ground is anything but smooth, it's not going to be a good ride.
Yeah.
It's not going to work. I don't know how many times my wheel locked up from like a pebble or something on the crack in the concrete or whatever. And I never wore pads or a helmet. This is like mid 90s. We did not do pads and helmets. That was not a thing. I don't even think, even on my bike, I never wore pads or a helmet.
Never.
We just never did. No.
But now my kids are wearing a helmet.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And they still fall and they act like it was worse than. I'm like, I got a scar right here from when I fell on my bike once, one of the dozens of times, and you're fully nerfed out. You're okay. But anyways, yeah. So Tony Hawk,
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
Yeah, it was. I feel like this game was at least in my eyes, the apex of skate culture. Like I feel like this is where skate culture was probably at its highest, at its peak in the U.S. It kind of went on a bit of a decline after this, I think, and before this, it was definitely, no pun intending, ramping up. Yeah. And this is kind of the point where I feel like skate culture was at its max. Yeah. And it was just everywhere.
Because you had this came out, and you had like, I remember the X Games got like really big around this time. Yeah. And I remember watching that a couple times. And and then, I mean, really, this made clearly, like, just like Madden did with John Madden, like this made Tony Hawk a household name. Because I wouldn't know.
If he wasn't before, he was after this.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't know who he was.
I remember seeing Tony Hawk everywhere at this time. But, like, I was 18 whenever this came out. Yeah. So, for me, like, I had been seeing Tony Hawk for 3 or 4 years before this on various things, like, here and there, like, a bunch of, like, MTV type things and stuff like that. So, for me, this was, like, seeing Tony Hawk in the game was like, that. I mean, you can't get any better than that. Yeah. That's pretty high. Yeah. I think it was a game, and I think he did like a couple cameos in movies around the same time. And that was like, like you said, he was everywhere. This was, if you didn't know who Tony Hawk was by the new millennium, then you were hiding under a rock at this point.
Yep.
It was Y2K and Tony Hawk.
That's right. Yeah. Well, I'm about tapped out on it. I don't really have any other notes, any other things to hit on it. I really enjoyed playing it again. I'm glad I've gotten my collection. So did you
couch co-op with it too?
Do what?
You played with buddies on the couch and everything too?
Yeah. I don't remember playing it multiplayer, but I know I did. I know. I mean, I remember playing it. I just don't have specific memories of it, if that makes any sense. Like, I remember seeing it on the screen and having, the controller in my hands and playing it, but and I know I did it over at friends' houses, but yeah.
I know there was a summer for us where it was like, when this came out, that whole summer, it was like, if we weren't going back to GoldenEye, we were playing this one. This was like our go-to game for sure. Like, because you could sit there and play it with, 2 people and, have competitions. We had usually we'd call a skater and be like, that's my skater. And then we'd play through on that skater and see who could finish out their skater faster or get more or whatever, or who could get the highest score and things like that. But yeah, it was always fun. It was a good co-op game. I enjoyed it for that.
And the free skate mode was fun on it. Like if you're like, I don't feel like doing any challenges. I'm just gonna practice. I'm just gonna practice. Like I just want to see I want to see if I can get Tony to do the 900. Like which was I could never get enough air to do the 900. I always had trouble with it.
I can't remember. Yeah, I don't know if I'm remembering this correctly or not, but I know a bunch of old PlayStation games you could do this on. And I don't have a just CD player handy to try it on. But correct me if I'm wrong here, but couldn't you take this disc and put it in a CD player and just play the music from it?
I have never tried it. I do not know. This is new to me. New information.
Yeah, there were some that you could do that with. It would you could just load it up, put it on a CD player, and it would play the music from the PlayStation game on. And I don't remember if this was one or not, but I want to say it was. But like I said, I don't have just a CD player lying around to try it out on. If all I got is like an Xbox and a PlayStation, I put it in an Xbox, it's going to be confused, and I put it into PlayStation, it's going to be confused because it's a game disc. But so I don't remember if that's true or not. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that's maybe true. Maybe.
Who knows? I don't know. I mean, could those CD players read that black disc?
Yeah, because all the black was just to denote that it was just a aesthetic thing. It didn't actually.
Oh, was that right? Okay.
Did anything? Yeah.
Okay.
Because it was just a red laser. The PlayStation was just red laser. Like you could play music discs and stuff like that. Yeah. So as far as I know, there wasn't anything other than aesthetics behind that PlayStation black thing. I think that was just to denote that it's a PlayStation game. If I remember correctly, there were some PlayStation, like the demo discs weren't black, were they? Not all of them.
The ones I had from Tips and Tricks magazine.
Tips and Tricks magazine. Tips and Tricks. All right. Well, if that's all we've got,
that's it. That's all I've got.
I think this is a good enough place to end it. Yeah. If you love This Podcast Takes Tokens, get yourself some free stickers. Show your love for the podcast and be one of the first to collect first 50 to snag an exclusive sticker. Here's how. Listen to the podcast. Tune in on whatever you prefer listening to podcasts on. Listen to This Podcast Takes Tokens and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or, you can't leave them on Spotify. They kind of removed that. You can't leave a written review anymore. You can give a star rating. I mean, we'd appreciate that, but we're really looking for written reviews, which are only available on Apple Podcasts right now. Anyways, write that review. Capture it in a screen grab and email us that screen capture along with your mailing address to This Podcast Takes Tokens at gmail.com, and we will send you a sticker absolutely free. No attachments at all. One sticker for one review. You want 2 stickers? Leave us reviews on wherever you can. Leave a written review and take a screenshot and let us know. Act fast. This offer ends December 31st, 2024. Email us as soon as you post it to make sure that you get credit for it. And remember, 1 sticker per unique review. Comments do not count. We need a review, stars, and words. Get listening, get reviewing, and get sticker collecting. There are 5 unique sticker designs, and we will send you out 1 random one for each review we get. With that, well, it's been a blast. We've had a lot of fun. Keep those reviews coming, and remember to be kind and rewind. We'll see y'all next time.
See you, and we will answer our question.
That's right.
Yeah, coming up. This Podcast Takes Tokens is a Clay Street production. Okay, as promised, we are going to come back and answer our cold open question that we had at the beginning of the episode. The question was, what video game do you think has the best soundtrack? Could be a score, could be licensed music, whatever. It just has to be the audio.
Well, I would have said Tony Hawk Pro Skater, just because I love the soundtrack.
Yeah.
So this game has a fantastic soundtrack. It's punk ska. It's just right up my alley at that time. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm gonna say I'm gonna give you mine, but I'm also gonna give you an honorable for my honorable mention. It's the GoldenEye 007 soundtrack.
Oh yeah,
that one. Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's a banger.
That one. You can't not hear it and think of it, but yeah, somebody's just got to play a few chords of that, and you're right there, you're right back in it. But I'll say mine is the Tony Hawk Pro Skater remastered with all the new tracks. Yeah, I feel like that adds to it a little bit, but I'm gonna go Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
That's fine. It's a game. It's its own game, right?
Yeah.
So
now, how about you?
Grand Theft Auto Vice City. I remember.
Oh, man, okay, yeah.
I remember just driving around Vice City, listening to. I can't remember what the name of the radio station was, but it was soft rock hits, and there was Sister Christian, Tempted by Squeeze, it was everything was a banger, and I'd turn on because I had it on my Xbox, when they released that double pack that was GTA 3 and Vice City. Yes. And I would put that in there, and I wouldn't do any missions. I'd be there for I'd play for an hour at night, just cruising, listening to that radio station. It was
every once in a while,
so
thump
good.
somebody.
Yeah. It was great. It had oh my gosh, that's such a great soundtrack to it.
And you know what the great thing about that Xbox version of it was? You could rip music to that Xbox hard drive and then play it on the radio in your car as you're driving on the radio.
Yep.
That was the coolest thing I think they did on the Xbox is letting you rip music to that hard drive and play it during. A lot of games had that where you could play your own music, and it was kind of like a selling feature. That's something you would see nowadays, but it was. Man, I love that. Yeah. That was probably one of my favorite things they did with the Xbox is you could rip music. Yeah. But they never told you how much space you had. You had blocks. No. And I don't know what blocks equated to megabytes. I kind of got a feeling that so many blocks would be about a song that's so long, but man.
My Xbox, I never saw it get under the 99999 because it was always up over that. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was, but, so speaking of that, because we forgot to mention what we're doing next week, do you want to let everybody know?
Well, I figured we'd cap off, but yeah, we can do that here.
Okay.
So this episode has inspired me with the music through line that we have and how much we enjoyed the music of this. And your cold open question ties into it really nicely. So next week, we're going to do music that you can game by. Here's the premise. It's 2005. You're in your living room or wherever you play games at, alone, all by yourself. You want to sit down and you just want to game out with some music. There is a 5-disc CD changer sitting right next to the TV. What 5 discs are you going to load up? Your family doesn't have internet access at home. The CD player can't play rip discs anyway, so only commercially available standard CDs can be used. Nothing burned, no super audios, no DVD audio, just good old-fashioned compact discs like the ones Philips and Sony released first back in Japan of 1982. So, what 5 discs are you going to play? That's our challenge for next week. If you want to join us, yes. Think about what discs.
Please.
And really, we're talking. It's kind of a layered thing. We're talking music discs that have no skips, and you can play with. You want to listen to while playing games.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. So that's what we're looking forward to.
Yeah. It's gonna be good.
With that though, we have a comment that came in from. Will Ford, resident #1 podcast fan of this here podcast.
Might as well be the 3rd member of the podcast, Will.
Yes, just about. So he responded to our last episode, Monster Squad, that came out. And he says, well, not our last episode, next to last episode. But time's kind of funny because we record these a little early.
Yeah.
But anyways, the Monster Squad episode, he says, I watched Monster Squad back whenever I was a kid, and it would run on TV. I only remember 2 things about it, though. The Wolfman Has Nards line and the theme song. So I'm going to have to watch this again sometime. Cool. And yes, well, please enjoy watching again. It's a good, I think it's a good solid rewatch.
It's fun.
Don't let anybody judge you for it. Have fun with it. It was good. I enjoyed it. I liked it. I had fun with it. I encourage you to as well.
Yeah. It's a fun movie.
Yeah. All right. Any parting thoughts for this week before we head off and cover music?
Yeah. If you want to, put together your list, and when we post next week's episode, throw it down there in the comments. Let us know what you let But in this episode, let us know what you thought about Tony Hawk Pro Skater. We love reading your comments, and let us know if there's a song that you think should have been added to this list for the soundtrack. Let us know, because I'm sure there's things that we haven't thought of, and I know we didn't really go over that, but it'd be fun to read the comments. So anyway, Tony Hawk Pro Skater. We enjoyed talking about it. We enjoyed playing it. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I know you're going to say Vice City, so you can just ditto that in the comments.
Other than those two. Other than Tony Hawk and Grand Theft Auto Vice City. Which I'm kind of excited for the next Grand Theft Auto. They're revisiting Vice City. That'll be fun.
They are. Yep. It'll be good. Yeah. So. All right. Well, we will see you next week. We'll do some music / video game talk.
See y'all next week.